Sometimes life is not going to go as planned. Sometimes things aren't going to work out the way you expect them to, or even the way you want them to. And sometimes that's going to piss you off, but almost always it's going to lead you to something else. So, first of all, if you are new here, my name is Lori Conkler. I am an integrative success mentor and coach, and I wanted to come on today to talk a little bit about this concept of things working out because chances are, if you ended up here, you might be a big control freak. You might be somebody who is kind of in that position when it comes to business of like always being on, always afraid that you're going to disappoint somebody, always afraid that there's just never going to be enough if you stop and take some time off, that money won't keep flowing if you don't micromanage every move that your team is making, that things won't get done, that if you don't tell your husband what to pick up from the store, that he'll forget. But some things just aren't meant to work out the way that we expect them to. And I won't even say that we want them to, because I think sometimes we lose sight of what it is that we actually want. And I was reminded of this recently, actually, because this past weekend, like the past several days, so it was I think 4 or 5 days ago, my husband, uh, manly man he was out in the yard working, and he took a raspberry bush. He was trimming some stuff up or whatever to his eye. And P.S. I'll just say, like, he can still see, so that's good. He didn't totally puncture his eyeball, which is good. Uh, but I had a whole plan for the last 4 days. I had a list of things, which mostly still here, a list of things that I wanted to do, that I wanted to get done, people that I needed to get back to, and then this happened. And of course, he couldn't see and he couldn't drive himself, so I had to drive him to urgent care. So we went to one urgent care, and they said, okay, well, blah, 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 you need to see an eye doctor. But they're at an urgent care about 30-40 minutes away, and they can't see you for another few hours. So go pick up these prescriptions for some eye drops, and then in a few hours go to this other place a half hour away. So again, fine. So I didn't get to do any of the things that I expected to do that day. What did happen is that we ended up going to dinner somewhere where I had wanted to go, and I had actually brought up earlier in the week, and he was just kind of like, I don't know, I don't really want to go, I don't really feel like it, but he knows I really like the food there. And so it's like, well, the clinic happens, because it was a half hour away, so that was part of it, happens to be right near that restaurant. And he immediately said, yeah, we can do that afterwards. Like, just got to go because couldn't really see or be in the light that much. But we sat there, we had a drink at the bar, waited for our food, and then we went. So I had a little impromptu date night. And then the next day, talked to the doctor, wasn't feeling 100% better, and they had said, we'll either want to see you in a day, or you can maybe wait till Monday, because this was on the weekend. And talked to the doctor and said, it's probably fine, but I really feel like you should come in. So again, got in the car, drove half hour each way to the eye doctor, and he was fine, got sent home. Then today again, I had to go back and I had to rearrange my schedule. I did not get everything on my list done that I wanted to. And again, all of this is totally fine. And the reason that I'm telling you this little drawn out story is because what it reminded me of is that these are the little things that I actually wanted to be able to do in my business now, or in my life, as a result of my work and my business. Now, don't get me wrong, I would much rather be spending my time doing something else aside from being at urgent care and eye doctors like multiple times over a period of days, sometimes to 2 different places in one day. And P.S. we're going back tomorrow. I don't remember if I said that, but It's the fact that I have the flexibility in my days, in my schedule, in my to-do list, that I have that ability to tell my assistants that, hey, you can do this thing and don't worry about it. I trust you. I have the ability to say, hey, I need to reschedule these things on my calendar, or I can't be at this meeting, or I can't do this thing, or you know what, just simply it's not going to get done today. And if I think back, what year is it? 2026. So I'm going to say 11 years before I had worked for myself fully. Like I had had a consulting business on the side for about 6 years at that point, but I was still working. I had never had that level of flexibility and freedom. I used to have to use my vacation days if I wanted to go to the doctor, or I'd have to be unpaid. Or if you go back even further, when I was still like hourly supervisor, I had to get someone else to cover my shift. And then here I am, getting annoyed at first. At first, I got annoyed. It was fine overall when I realized this. But at first, I was like kind of annoyed because I didn't get everything done I wanted. And my husband, he thanked me profusely so many times throughout the last several days and, apologized. I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. No worries. First of all, it was nice to be recognized, but second of all, it was really not a big deal. And as soon as once I reminded myself of that, it was actually a feeling of gratitude rather than annoyance, rather than what are people going to think if I can't be on this call? What's going to happen if I don't get these things done? Are my assistants going to know how to do X, Y, or Z? Because I've literally set myself up for this life that I have. And for life to go on, to know that I can continue making money without having to worry, without things falling apart. And so many of the people that end up in my world, come in and they're just so high strung and like you're just so worried about what will happen. And the truth of it is that is actually part of the problem because you're holding on to control so much. You're holding on to trying to make everything work, trying to control how people perceive you, trying to control, how every little aspect of your life goes. And then when something happens that's like a hiccup that's out of the norm, that is outside of your plan, you kind of freak out. You get anxious, you worry, you stay up, you don't sleep. Sound familiar? Yeah. Trust me, I know. Ask me how I know, right? And I think about actually like just some of the things I've had. I've had retreats where I've had people like no fault to them, but at night they had to do work, and I've had to do the same when I'm at retreats. Um, but where then they were like scheduling calls and being like, well, I have to do this thing because if I wait till I get back, they may not, they might go to someone else. And I remember having some of these conversations like, you're literally paid like $10,000 to be here and to really have this time to connect back to yourself, to stop the hustle. You literally came here to help you stop the hustle, but you couldn't even stop long enough to enjoy what you have right here in front of you. And I remember having some of these conversations and actually them taking it to heart right away. And one particular, actually this happened to multiple people, but this amount, not necessarily, but I remember one client at one of my retreats, like she woke up and at breakfast she pulls me aside and she's like, I have to tell you something. I'm like, what? She's like, I just made like $75,000 in my sleep. Because people were signing things, because people were doing things, because life was going on. And you know what she wasn't doing? She wasn't sitting on calls with them. I remember talking to another person, also a retreat guest, who was just like, oh, I have to schedule these calls. I might not be able to do this thing, and I called them on it. I said, ultimately, if you want to miss this thing that we have scheduled, that's fine. But I'm going to challenge you and say, I don't think you actually need to go on those calls. I don't think you actually need to do those things. I think what you actually want is to be present here, but you're so worried of what will happen if you're not in control, if you're not always on, if you're not always doing the thing. So you would rather forego the thing that you paid lots of money for, to have the experience that you say you want, rather than risk that someone might say no, that someone might walk away. And you know what? To be honest, in my opinion, sometimes that's just meant to happen. No, that's just not saying, just like in an everyday life, just say fuck off. I'm not going to get back to you. I don't feel like it. But it is also saying sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to look at your life. You have to look where you are, look at what you're doing, look at what you're prioritizing, and then look at the things you're complaining about, right? You're complaining about not having enough white space, about being so busy, about not getting enough time with your family, your friends, your kids. But then you choose to put yourself in these scenarios over and over again, right? And you choose to get upset. Because, again, going back to my husband, I could have been annoyed. I could have been like, I can't do that. Can you call your mom? Can you ask your mom to take you? I need to do these things on my list. I could have took it out on him, and past me very much might have. Even though I would have been like, it's fine. The underlying message would have been like, no, it's not fine, and you should feel bad, and you should feel guilty, and you should feel indebted to me. But why? Because the truth is I am actually really fucking grateful that I was there. I'm really grateful that my husband isn't blind. P.S. I just want to say that. But I'm really grateful that I was actually able to be there for him. That I was actually had the flexibility in my life, in my schedule, in my business to just say, I can't be there today. I can't do this thing today. You know what? I'm going to need an extra day or two to get that to you. I'm going to need to reschedule that call. Because to me, it was more worth it to be present in my life, to be there for my life, than it was to hustle, to be in fear. And, this is just one example of how this comes up. So, again, that was what I was inspired to come on and talk about today. And if you see yourself in this story, if you are the person who's getting annoyed, getting frustrated when things aren't working out the way you want them to, when things aren't going the way you expected, when you didn't get to do the thing you wanted to, or that you told someone that you would do, if you're getting all up in your head and getting anxious about not being able to deliver something on time, if you're losing sleep over XYZ thing, if you're canceling your fucking spa appointments because you need to finish something for a client, I need you to ask yourself, where are your priorities? And if you're in business, what was the reason behind why you actually started your business? Was it for freedom? For flexibility? And are you prioritizing that? Or are you letting yourself be led by fear? Because leading by fear, that's actually going to lead you to more scarcity. Fear of the scarcity is actually going to bring about more scarcity, rather than actually just saying, you know what, this is why I started this. This is why I'm going to go live my life, and being fucking grateful for it. That's what actually leads to the thing that you want. So if you would like to know how to be the person that does that in just a few simple steps, I have a 5-minute process that I am gifting you for free. You can, this is going to be on YouTube, so I will update the description with that. But if you do not see it in the description or in my link tree, then you can send me a message on Facebook, which is in the description and is on my profile, and ask me. Say, I am ready to exist in my life, in my business, with ease. Give me the process, and I will gladly send it to you. And, of course, if you've liked this video, want to see more, Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment below, and we'll see you in the next one.